Welcome everyone to the Mastermind Book Club. We're here today reviewing part 1 of 3 of the Bitcoin program that Michael Saylor has given out for free at saylor.org. This is a wonderful program. It took me a few days to get into it because you have to actually sit down and visualize and listen to what is being taught. This is an actual learning experience that I haven't done in a while, and it's very well worth it. Why? Well, we're going to summarize pretty much some of the good things that we've learned in this review of the first of 3 parts of the Sailor program, Bitcoin for Beginners. Gina, would you like to give your 1 or 2 things that you got out of this audio and as well as reading?
Yes, David. As regards to Bitcoin, eh, to think about it as money, money goes through a series of stages before it is considered, like a storehouse of value or something that we can exchange for another thing. And so first we begin by collecting it. And then after it becomes very popular, say on the world stage or whatever, and then it becomes acceptable as a form of exchange by others. And so that's the stage it seems like Bitcoin is in right now, where it has a storehouse of value, and also where it has to be easy to be used as an exchange for goods and services as well. And we're right to that point right now with Bitcoin. That's what I got from my part. David.
Awesome. That actually goes right into what I'm going to talk about. Can any of you see my shared screen there?
Mhm.
Okay, so these are the attributes, as Gina was just explaining, so 1 or 2 of them, the attributes of a good store of value. Now, this is a big difference why Bitcoin exists. Number one, it's durable. It's not perishable and easily destroyable. There are governments already tried to destroy Bitcoin. Portable. You can easily transport it. You don't have to carry it in your pocket. It's not like gold where it's huge, or a cow where it's very huge, and you don't have to have those actual heavy weighing material with you. Fungible. One specimen of a good should be interchangeable with another of equal quantity. There were things that were attempted to be exchanged in before money came into existence, that some people wanted to change fish for the other person wanted to exchange beans, and people weren't agreeing on these exchanges. So that was also a problem. Verifiable. The good must be easy to quickly identify and verify as authentic, and Bitcoin can have that. It's divisible, meaning you can have it divided into smaller bits and sold into less than the actual amount that you might have. Scarce, meaning there's a limited supply. There are a lot of companies figuring out that although they are worth billions, that limited supply is what people are looking for, and they're attempting to copy Bitcoin on this because they've noticed that Bitcoin is scarce and that their company should be scarce in limited quantity, so that more people, there will be a higher demand on people wanting them. Established history. The longer the good is perceived to have been valuable by society, the greater its appeal as a store of value. Obviously, Bitcoin doesn't have many years. It has over a decade, and it's becoming more and more realistic that it's going to last. Throughout this established history, you can see that the governments want to tax it, but they're not going to be able to tax Bitcoin directly. What they do is they have tax system available through the softwares that are able to get it out there to the people. And the last one, this is a new category in reference to the attributes of a good store of value for a monetary system, is censorship resistant. And that's a problem that has happened with money, the dollar, and the other currencies. I'm pretty certain it's happened, which has become increasingly important in our modern digital society with pervasive surveillance is censorship resistant. And that is just a reality with Bitcoin. Now, in reference to Bitcoin, how does Bitcoin compare to gold and fiat? It's durable. It rates as a B compared to gold, A plus. And I don't want to keep you on here for very long, but you can see that Bitcoin has 4 A pluses. Gold has 2 A pluses and fiat has 0 A pluses. The A pluses meaning Bitcoin is portable, verifiable, divisible, and scarce. Now it's fungible has a B and durable has a B. Why? Because I'd say gold is much more durable in that it's actually a physical thing. Fungible, gold again beats it out, as well as established history, which Bitcoin doesn't have an established history. And then the last one underneath is censorship resistant. And obviously we know that Bitcoin has gone through the test of being censorship resistant, because at the time that Michael Saylor made this program, China was not accepting Bitcoin, and now they've just recently in the last several days or weeks said that they will accept it. This is in reference to energy consumption. This is the problem that people are complaining about, that Bitcoin consumes a lot of energy. Well, Henry Ford and Thomas Edison were interested in replacing gold with the energy dollar, or units of energy. And this was over 100 years ago. And the reality is they didn't know a way to store it or a way to manipulate energy until Bitcoin came into existence. And yes, there is energy. However, the amount of energy that's being utilized for Bitcoin is much less than what the banks use and what everybody else is using. Let's see, I think I missed out on that sheet where it shows the difference, how Bitcoin uses much less energy than every other source that's out there. And that's just a reality. Now, this is the relative cost. The gold mining costs 105 billion a year, and Bitcoin costs 4.5 billion a year. You can see that Bitcoin is the least amount of cost in reference to energy usage, or this is what part of what I was looking for. You can see that Bitcoin is 183 million, and that gold is 475 million in reference to energy use. And very few use less energy, like gold recycling and paper currency and minting. Those use less energy. The reality is that Bitcoin has a cost associated with it, but it also benefits the miners in the process of creating new coins. Now, this is the last screen that I have, the shared screen. The pressure to find cheap electricity sources will accelerate the effort to build fusion reactors. As you heard in the last 24 hours, Bush said, I'm glad fuel costs are high, and so that everybody moves to energy, which electricity. This is the importance of being able to sorry, something quantum. So fusion is going to be coming back into talks. I don't know when, but now that people are realizing that energy is the way to go, energy is going to become more prevalent in the fusion reactors. Now, Reggie and Charles, would you like to say anything in reference to what was said here? Going back to the first chart here. Whoops. There we go.
Charles, do you have anything?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I'll start off pretty much from what we were hearing, what we've been studying, is Bitcoin is something that's here to stay. As David mentioned, it's a durable exchange for currency, for fiat, replacement of fiat paper. There's record via a ledger, exchangeable for durable goods. It's divisible, can be broken down. So there are some great things that Bitcoin is able to produce for us and to promote our civilization. And I believe that it'll be here to stay for a while.
Awesome, Charles. And that's I believe it too. I believe it too. It's here to stay for a while. Reggie.
I mean, I don't know that I have that much to say. I mean, you covered a lot of not a lot, but at least some parts of Bitcoin, just in terms of reading through some of what you read on the screen here. But I was just fascinated with how Bitcoin works in terms of how it's created, and just the fact, like this timeline for when it's created, where a majority of it is created over the next 24 or 5 years, like 99% of it. And then after that, the last or so 100 or so years, because the last Bitcoin is created, I think, in 2150 or so, the last 1% is created in that last 100 or so years. So it's interesting. And just in the first 4 years alone, is about half the Bitcoin that's created, because I like how they kind of created this model where within the first 10 minutes, initially in the first 4 years, every 10 minutes you get 50 Bitcoin. I'm sorry, how does it work? In an hour, 10 minutes, I think it's 50. And then it constantly gets quartered. So that, after the next 4 years, you go from 50 created in that same 10-minute block to like 12 and a half. And then after that, the next 4 years, it goes to, for every 10-minute block, you have 6 and an eighth, and so on and so forth. So how that works is, like, in the first 4 years, you have 10 million plus Bitcoin. Then the next 4 is 2.25, or two point something million Bitcoin. Then the next 4 is like maybe 600 or some odd thousand, and that goes on and on until where we are now, where we have a majority of the Bitcoin has already been mined. And like I said, in the first 24, 25 years or so, is 99% of it. So it's just amazing how that works. And so that's where you have this coin that basically withstands the test of time in terms of inflation, because there's only but so much of it, unlike fiat money where you can keep reducing it. Bitcoin is going to reach a asymptote, which is basically an endpoint, which is the 21 million. And that's it. And then from there, it's basically like, that's it. No more mining, no more anything. It's just a matter of, the value that people give to it, as that happens over time, which would then quantify the actual number that Bitcoin will reach up and down, so we expect it to get, at least what people believe, is just some really high number, multiple hundreds of thousands, and even higher in some cases, what people believe. So we'll see how that plays out. But it's very interesting. I don't think it's going anywhere, as per has been said. And we'll just we'll see how it all unfolds. In Bitcoin, that'll actually be the staple, and there'll be other coins that come behind it, kind of like we've seen some of the others like Ethereum and so on and so forth. But it should be interesting as this all unfolds over the next few years.
Thank you, Reggie. And that is the truth, what you just said. But I want to add one thing that Michael Saylor said in the second audio of this program, which is that Bitcoin, if it ever reaches the world value of the monetary system, every Bitcoin will be worth at least $10 million. $10 million. What the wealthy are betting on is that Bitcoin, maybe it will make 10 million, but they're betting that it will make at least 100,000. Right? Once it gets to 100,000, then we know that Bitcoin will continuously build value because of its limited supply. It's readily transferable, durable, as everybody just said, and that this coin that has been created is censorship proof, because the dollar, it can be printed left and right, and inflation has been dealt within the last 2 or 3 decades, where they've just printed more and more money. I mean, in the last 2 years, they've printed more money than has already existed. And this inflation can be good, according to what Michael Saylor, and I forgot the name of the Indian guy is, but he's really good. His podcasts are really good. I'm gonna attempt to follow them, and I think that we can all go through them and learn, because he goes into these deep podcasts, according to Michael Saylor, and that's where he learned about Bitcoin. And it's probably much easier to follow than a lot of these audios that we're listening to right now. So this is it for our review on the first of 3 parts of this Michael Saylor audio on Bitcoin for everyone. Very, very powerful. I recommend that you go over, and if you don't understand it, go over it again, because it's very important that you understand that even companies are starting to imitate Bitcoin. How? Because they know now that there's value in limited supplies, and not just in creating multiple amounts of whatever it is that is in existence. Take care, and until next week, we'll go over part 2 of the Saylor program, Saylor.org. If you want to join it, I recommend it, highly recommend it. Take care.